What's up, guys? Welcome back to the No Victim Podcast. This is episode 20. I'm here. My name is Gabe, by the way, if you did not know that. If you have not watched every single episode up to this point, if you haven't, the fuck are you doing here now? Huh?
He's like, go back.
You think you can just show up episode 20 and everything's just going to be fine? Anyway, I'm your host at Gabe No Victim. I'm here with my co-host, Pablo.
No Victim.
No Victim Farnan.
I feel like it's Pablo getting to
No
that
Victim
point.
Farnan.
Yeah, sure.
And
good.
today, we got a special guest today. We are accompanied with one of my elite clients. This is a guy that I met a few months ago, approached me about online coaching and building his fitness coaching company. He is a bodybuilder, a competitive bodybuilder. So he's a real bodybuilder. He's hailing all the way from Texas, and he's here to join us today to talk about his experience working with me and give a little insight on his life, and also shamelessly promote his fitness coaching. So we're here with, without further ado, John Heinsohn, right? Heinsohn?
Yeah, Heinsohn.
John Heinsohn. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Fuck yeah! Good to have you here,
It's
bro.
gonna be a blast.
I'm so excited.
Good to have you here, bro. So, so you came from Texas.
I did.
Cool. And how old are you, brother?
I'm 25.
25 years
Yeah.
old. Cool. And give us the quick cliff notes on your life. Like, were you born in Texas, born and raised in Texas, and what got you into like the fitness game? Because you're a bodybuilder. Give us like the whole spiel.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Laredo, Texas, born and raised. I lived there until I was 18. And I got into bodybuilding my senior year of high school. And so I was a cross-country and track runner all through high school. And I ended my last track season short because I had an IT band injury.
What
Yeah.
you did? What event did you do in track?
I did the 800 and the mile.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's like mental, all
Let's
mental.
hear
yeah.
some
That's
numbers.
Yeah,
I ran a
honestly.
203 in the 800, and then I ran a 437 or 436 in the mile.
Gosh.
Damn, is that good?
I've
It's
never
okay.
done that.
That sounds good.
I don't know if I'd
It's
ever
okay.
even get close to that.
That sound like some good numbers.
For Texas, that's pretty slow. Not gonna lie.
There's people that do it better than that, but
Yeah.
that's sick though.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I had a great time, but I mean, it got cut short. So
Sure.
my sights were set on different things. I'd always wanted to try bodybuilding, and so I did. And I got into the gym right after that injury because the injury just prevented me from running, but it didn't really prevent me from lifting. I was good to go on that side of the house. So
That's good.
So yeah, I lifted. That's when I started, and then eventually I quit when I got into university and I joined a fraternity and all that stuff. My
okay.
priorities shifted a little bit.
Interesting,
Yeah,
interesting.
and so
I get it.
bodybuilding, I pretty much just stopped showing up. I stopped showing up, and that was the first time that I failed at bodybuilding.
Oh wow.
Yeah, unfortunately. And then it was again in, I want to say, 2020, like right after COVID, that I tried again to become a bodybuilder, right?
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to lock in. I'm going to show up every single day, no matter if I want to or if I don't.
Yeah.
And same result, man. Same thing. I just couldn't commit. I couldn't commit, and that was the second time that I failed as a bodybuilder. And then the third time was...
That's raw. That's real.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
Damn.
honest.
Yeah, it's
that
super
was the
honest.
second time. And then the third time that I tried was right when I graduated from the University of Oregon. So I had just graduated, and like most people who graduate, you're like, well, what's next, right? Like now I got this piece of paper. It's my diploma. I paid so
Yeah.
much money for it, and now
Right.
like that's all you have really. And you got to go out into the world and figure it out. And like some people, I was having a really hard time with that. I didn't really know which direction I wanted to take my life in. And I had a few ideas, but no clear direction for sure. And so one of the things that stood out to me was, the gym. Like, I was always good at it. Every time I was going to the gym, it felt like my life was in order almost. So I was like, look, I've got all these things around me that are disorganized, but the one thing that feels organized and feels right in my life is going to the gym. So I just kept doing that, and now I'm here. I never stopped showing up after that time. So I guess third time is the charm.
It was like almost like the constant in the chaos, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
I do have a quick question in regards to that, just out of pure curiosity.
Sure.
You said you got into bodybuilding senior year of school, was it? High school.
High school. Senior year of high school.
I understand. Was it like a person, like someone that you saw that was big? Was it a video? Was it like something like just out of, and this is pure curiosity. I was just curious, like how you said, like I got into it, but like, did you see someone, a video, something? Like what kind of like initially just got you into it?
So what got me into it, I think, is that when I was a runner, I was really skinny. I had no muscle whatsoever. I looked like a stick figure. And I wasn't very confident of how I looked. Like I always saw these bodybuilders and guys who just had like more muscle.
Sure.
And I was like, well, I want to look like that.
I understand.
Right? Like
I understand.
I feel like that would make me feel better.
Right.
And that would help me carry myself in a different way. And I think that's what sparked it.
Sure. Favorite bodybuilders? Any favorite bodybuilders?
Ooh, favorite bodybuilders? Lee Labrada. I love Lee Labrada for his posing.
Legend.
Yeah, insane. But obviously Arnold.
Fucking legend.
Obviously.
Taught him everything he knows.
Obviously. Yeah,
nothing like a young
Gabe's got
Arnold,
it.
you know?
Oh, yeah. But it really stemmed from just a lack of confidence almost. Like I just wasn't very sure with myself with how I looked. Yeah. And I kind of wanted to change that a little bit. Yeah. And that's when I started the bodybuilding thing for sure.
That's what's up. So it started as like an image thing.
For sure.
So you're saying, John, that it was originally vanity that led you?
Originally, yeah. I mean,
to start bodybuilding.
Yeah, it really was. But it has transformed from that ever since then.
That's not a deep enough reason, John. I'm just kidding. The reason I'm saying it like that and the reason I'm framing it like that is because I feel like a lot of people admittedly don't want to say like, hey, the reason I'm fucking working out is because I just want to look good. Like I don't give a shit about like anything else other than the fact that I take my shirt off and I don't like what I see, and like I would rather just like what I see and like have more energy and feel good about myself, you know?
Which is like a valid thing.
Yeah, which is like totally cool.
Super
like
valid.
Totally okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay, but I think it's cool because and how we were just talking in before about the, because you were sharing with me, you're like, yo, I want a car, like a newer car, and I'm like, yeah, dude, definitely like start to set your sights on something higher, like a higher goal that you want to accomplish, because it's what's going to drive you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that whether it's material or it's like a vanity metric, you just want to have a six pack, you want to, whatever it is. I think that there's so much power in like setting those goals and having those little like checkpoints along the way. It's just like, it's what makes it fun. It's like, it can't be all grind and all hustle. And I think it's just not talked about enough, where it's like, it isn't all grind, it isn't all hustle. There is like those little moments, while they may be far and few in between, where it's like there are those moments of like, oh, like I was working for this thing, and like I look at it, for example, this watch, for example, the car that I just bought, I look at them as examples of my hard work. You know what I'm saying? Cool, man. So what class did you compete in when you competed in? You did one show? Two?
I've done two shows. 1 season, 2 shows. In my first show, I just competed in classic physique. And then in my second show, I decided to jump into men's physique just because why not? It was my first year and I wanted to see how I stacked up. So I ended up doing both classic and men's physique for my second show. They were a month apart last year. So I qualified for nationals for both divisions. I don't know if I'm going to do men's physique nationals. I really I need to see how I look.
Got you.
If I still have that look, then I'll go for it.
Yeah.
But right now, it's looking really classic.
So I love that, man. So you're still hardcore into the bodybuilding. You're going to do classic physique, and I want to kind of walk people through the kind of your journey now into fitness coaching and into like being a coach, monetizing your expertise, and what actually led you to that point. Because I remember we were just talking on the way over here. How you were like, I was trying to be a coach and I was trying to figure it out, but I'm curious, like, what made you want to be a coach? Like, what was like, oh, I'm gonna be a fitness coach? And were you a personal trainer originally? Yeah, personal trainer. And I'm curious, like, how that started. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah. So I really wanted to train people when people would come to me first and just ask me like, oh, like, you know, like you seem to know what you're doing. Like you're in good shape, right? You're smart and you've gotten good results, right? Like my physique was proof that I knew what I was doing. And people would ask me for advice, and you know, they would take my advice, they would run with it, they would apply it, and then they would get a pretty good result, right? So that's when I realized, like, okay, you know, people out of everybody in the world, these people decided to come to me, like, right? There's something there. There's definitely something there, and so that's when I started learning more. You know, I started going through. I went through like a research phase where I researched like a little bit of everything. I went through a few courses, which, I mean, you don't need to go through courses, but I just wanted to learn more because I wanted to understand the sport. I wanted to understand the science behind it as well. And so I went through a few courses. I went through J3U. I also did a bodybuilding and physique certification through NASM, and then a certified trainer certification also through NASM. So once I had all this knowledge, I realized like it took me a long time to figure all of this information out.
Yeah.
I should sell this information. Like what I'm really selling is I'm saving you time.
Got you.
I already made all the mistakes. I already did all the research for you.
Right.
I'm just going to give you the answer you're looking for.
Right.
You go, you apply it, you get the result.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Got you.
Yeah.
So what made you want to like actually help people? Was it because
Oh yeah.
people were like asking you, they're like curious about what you had going on? Because and I'm also I'm asking that question, and I'm also at the same time like I don't think there's anything wrong with having a conversation with yourself and being like, yeah, I want to help people, but I also like want to build a real fucking business and make a lot of money too. So what was that conversation like, and kind of like how did you get into what was the trigger for you that you're like, okay, like I'm actually going to help people and I'm actually going to turn this into a business?
Yeah, so I think what it was for me was I realized what bodybuilding and just getting in shape did for me mentally and did for me as a whole, like as a person.
Yeah.
The way I showed up for
You said
things,
that, yeah.
the way I showed up for other people, what I was able to do, how I was able to carry myself. Like when I realized what getting in shape actually does for you,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, it changes your life.
Oh, yeah.
It really changes your life. And
Yeah.
I could help other people realize this.
Yeah.
Right? I could help them become that better version of themselves that's in shape, more confident,
Yeah.
can show up for themselves and those around them.
Yeah.
And I can make money from it because, I mean, like, this is valuable stuff.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah, it
100%.
can change your life if you apply it correctly.
So, and I'm curious too now because, and John now averages, I mean, you're doing like 10K a month now in the business.
10K, yeah.
And when John came and worked with me, I mean, I met him through like on Instagram, and you had like no social media experience. And I think, not only that, because like to go from what you were doing before, what you were making before, to now 10K a month in such a short amount of time, and now like you're on the podcast, like I feel like it happened so fucking fast. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious more so like, did you ever have when you were younger, kind of like before this, did you ever have like that entrepreneurial like the entrepreneurial drive and the desire to like want to build a business and want to make money and want to like build an empire or anything like that? Did that ever cross your mind?
It definitely did.
Got
It
it.
definitely did, and that's because every time that I've had a 9-to-5, I always feel like this sounds like a little rough, but like I feel like I'm already like dead. Like I
Why?
already failed.
Why?
Because I don't want to be there. Most of the time, like I'm doing this job, at least every job that I've had, right? I understand that there's people who like their 9-to-5, and that's awesome. But every 9-to-5 that I've
better not
done,
be watching this shit.
well, every 9-to-5 that I've had personally, every 9-to-5 that I have had personally, I don't enjoy.
I agree.
I don't like, maybe at the beginning there's a little bit of motivation.
Sure.
And then it just very quickly fades because that's not your baby. That's not your dream. It's not, you're working for somebody else. You're helping them create and build their dream.
Yeah.
And that just didn't sit right with me ever. Like I knew that I was capable of the same. And I want to do that for myself.
I hate to, not to interrupt you, but like even like that's being generous. Like saying like, yeah, you're helping someone build their dream. It's like, yeah, even like maybe in more so like a smaller company, but like
Sure.
no one's like who's like dream are you helping build with some fucking like factory like that you're working. It's like you're really not like building anyone's dream. It's even like less so. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like if you were in a small company and you were like, and I guess I'm more so playing devil's advocate, where it's like if you were really helping build someone's dream, that would be a lot. That's still a lot fucking better than like working for a company where you're just a number. Is more so what I'm saying.
No, I see what you're saying for sure.
But go back to what you were saying, like talking about how you're at your 9 to 5 and you're like, I know I can do more. Like, what is that conversation like when you're like at work, thinking, oh well, I don't like this. Like, what's the point where you're like, oh, I'm motivated for a week, but then you're like, oh, this sucks. Like, what's pulling you away from that?
What's pulling me away from that?
Yeah,
I think is just like understanding that I have a set of talents that are not being used there. Like they're just being wasted, essentially, right? And that's one of the reasons why I stopped being a personal trainer as well, because I had all these talents, all this knowledge, right, that I wasn't able to apply as a personal trainer because I worked for a commercial gym, right? But they had their way of doing things. And
in what way?
They just had a whole system in place. They had an app that they used. They had supplements that they sold. I had right and left limits on what I could teach and what I couldn't teach. Like, for example, I couldn't give any advice on nutrition. That was a thing. And I knew so much about nutrition. And nutrition is so important when you're trying to get in shape.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed to teach that, really. You know, so it just feels like all that knowledge, all that talent is just being wasted.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I couldn't really stay in that position anymore. It's because I knew that I could be more help to somebody if I just did it my way.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So okay, cool. So you have experience as a personal trainer.
I do.
You fucking worked the corporate bullshit job where they're basically taking a percentage of your pay. You don't get to pick your clients. You can't train them the way you want. It's an overall poor experience for you as a personal trainer and then them as a client, because they're not really getting the best experience they could either. And I think that fundamentally personal training, unless it's like at the most elite level, I would argue and say it's actually very ineffective, because you're basically training the client to rely on you, right? You're not teaching them the actual skill set to be able to apply themselves and feel empowered. Mm-hmm. So where does Instagram and social media come into play with all of this? Like where was that? Where did that come into play with all of this?
Yeah. So I started dabbling with social media last year in 2024, right around prep. That's when I posted my first, like, hey, like I'm a bodybuilder, like I'm getting ready for a show type post, right? Yeah. And that was like, for me, it made me really nervous, because I was, this like new person in the eyes of everybody else, right? Like
Why did it make you nervous?
Because I really cared about what people would think.
Why though?
I mean, looking back at it, it's silly, but like it doesn't even matter. But in the moment, when like that version of myself cared for some reason, like he cared. Now I realize, like, dude, that's just who you are. This is your life. Like, do your thing. But back before I became this version of myself that thinks like that, I had to be that version of myself that did care a lot about what other people thought. And so that's when I first started getting into social media. And every time I'd post, I get really nervous about it. But that's also why I never really jumped into social media and did the online fitness coaching thing, and instead took the personal trainer route, because that just seemed easier at
Isn't
first.
it so crazy that like when you're saying like you based a major life decision off of like what, because you're afraid of what other people were going to think of you. Mm-hmm. The opinions of people that didn't even matter. Like we're probably thinking like what people from your high school, maybe your job, maybe like college or whatever, that we're going to see it, and I guess you were afraid of being judged by them.
Yep.
So I just want to stay on that for just a little bit, because I think that there needs to be like almost like an unraveling of this roadblock that people find themselves at when it's like it gets to the point where other people's opinions are that affecting you that much that you literally are paralyzed by fear because you're afraid of what people think. And I just want to say this, like I'm like I am so used to people talking shit about me and judging me and not understanding me, and I'm used to it. But I think it's because early on when I started to experience like any sort of judgment or criticism that was in a negative way, I think that what has to happen, right, it is the individual that wants to forge their own path, that is afraid to do so because they're afraid of what other people think. I truly believe that it's like the way that you actually conquer that and the way that you actually defeat that dragon, we'll say, right? Because it holds a lot of people back. It's like the fear of what other people think. It's like so crazy too, because it's mostly people's opinions that don't even fucking matter, right? But I think what it is like having an awareness of oneself where you know yourself so well and you love yourself so much. And I say that like, it's rare, that it doesn't matter what you say, because every single fucking word that comes out of your mouth, you stand behind because you know yourself. So it with that being said, if you had that level of confidence where it's like, it's not that you're never going to, you're always going to say the right thing, because believe me, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And more times than not, I fuck up, I make mistakes, I say things that I shouldn't. But I always look at it as like, if we as people want to express ourselves authentically, we only have so many opportunities to do so. And if we start to look at it like that versus like, well, I mean, I can always go on social media, like it's the opportunity is always going to be there, and this, that, and the other, and this, that. The reason that I'm fucking here right now is because I stopped thinking like that. And I started to think like, oh fuck, like you ever think like, okay, people judge you and blah blah blah. Hold on, just for 1 second, like just for 1 second. Think about the past year and how fast it's gone by. And most people, for the majority of the time, they've treated like one moment of judgment or the fear of judgment like one day, like a whole year. And then a year has gone by and they've made no progress. And the whole time you haven't been focused. Anyway, so how the fuck did you get over that?
I mean, I just faced the fear because I realized that like this was my life and I needed to spend it how I wanted to,
Yeah, but
regardless of what anybody thought.
How do you deal with people still judging you?
Oh, I mean, people
Because
judge
they're
me.
always going to do that.
I just stopped caring, essentially. Like, I know sometimes I've heard that like my content gets like sent out in group chats, or my content gets made fun of and shit like that, right? And I'm like, well, I don't care. I'll be like, oh, like he's trying to be an influencer or whatever. And you know, at the end of the day, like everybody's always going to have an opinion whether you're doing something good or you're not. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're going to judge you regardless. So might as well just do what you want to do. And really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help other people transform their lives the way I transform mine, right? Like give people that confidence in themselves to realize that they're capable of a lot more than they think, right? And like you said, like everybody is kind of just living in fear and they're not moving. They're stagnant. And I was that person too, for sure. But, you know, once you take a step forward and you just decide like this is what you want to do,
yeah,
and it doesn't matter what anybody says,
yeah,
and you actually start living like that,
yeah,
then things start happening.
I'd say to your point, and even to simplify it more so, is even like you keep it below the neck. And it's like when people are talking shit on you, that's just like something that's happening. It's not happening to you.
Yeah.
It's just happening.
It's just happening.
It's just like, yeah, that like happened, but it doesn't affect me. You know what I'm saying? Wow, that's super valuable. Cool. Fuck, dude. That's some real shit, Pablo.
Well, I was gonna ask actually just to give like
Because Pablo's don't tell you, this guy, you think he's soft hands and all that shit? I'm telling you, he's a demon. He's a beast.
Oh, stop.
Putting Pablo on the spot.
Try my best. I was curious actually for the people at home, just like how many followers did you have when this started? Like when you kind of were like back to his thing, like social media, when you started dabbling, so to speak, like just to give people like context, because some of them might be in the same seat. So like,
yeah.
And not that the number of followers matters, but like when you do dabble in social media, that is like a factor in your mind.
And how much money were you making?
Yeah, sure. Start there. So, if that's okay, if you're cool with that.
Yeah. So I started at around, I think it was like 900 followers, like maybe like 950.
Yep.
And I've grown. I'm at 1,200 or something like that right now.
Sure.
But I've gained like 500 to 600 followers, and I've lost like a bunch of people who just weren't gonna stick around anyways. You know what I mean? And like those people are leaving every day too. Like, you know, you recycle them. Like they just leave the picture. They're not gonna follow along for the journey.
It's a shame
They're
when
lost.
people that weren't gonna buy anyway unfollow.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
shame.
yeah. That's what you realize. You're like, well, all right. You know, like doesn't matter.
Someone DM'd me some sort of, it's like a hate message this morning. I was like, you weren't gonna buy shit anyway. That's what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they filter themselves out. I was just curious to kind of give people a context at home, because that's, you know, when you do dabble in social media, that is a thing that you think about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone looks at someone like Gabe, he's like, oh, he's 100,000 followers, whatever, and I'm like, I have this. That has no like weight on the fact that you can make money in this game.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
So I actually go ahead.
No, and like everybody does think that, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody thinks like you need thousands
because you're making
of followers.
10K a month in this business.
Yeah.
So I'm curious here, right? Like, and like, please don't hold nothing back, right? Like, because I think this is really what. I think the people that are going to be watching this podcast are likely going to be maybe individuals that are like right where you were at before, you know, you started working with me. What did we do to make 10K a month?
Don't give the secrets away, though.
Like
Just tell them what we did.
Just kidding.
Like what? Like if you could explain
yeah.
to the people
Yeah.
how you went from struggling personal trainer, to now making 10K a month with your online business.
Well,
How does the process work?
I introduced myself to my followers.
Okay.
I told them what I was trying to do, what my goal with it was, and I also told them why I was doing it. I shared a piece of my story.
Yeah.
After that is when I had people start reaching out to me like that.
Yeah.
Right. People kind of just they fucked with it.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, yeah, I feel the same way.
So you're putting out the content.
Yeah, then you start putting out content, right? But that's like the intro first, right?
Yeah,
You do the intro stories, and then you start, you know, posting reels and stuff like that, trying to connect with people who are maybe in a situation where you can help them.
Got you.
Very basic stuff. And then through that, people start reaching out. You reach out to people who you think maybe you can help.
Okay.
Right. And that's really it. Like, if you want me to simplify it, that's essentially it. You introduce yourself, you reach out to people, people reach out to you, you communicate about how you can help them, and then they become a client.
So you make reels.
Make reels.
How do you make reels? Like, what do you do?
Grab your phone.
Okay.
Or your camera. Because I have a camera, right?
Yeah.
You put on a tripod, or you just maybe you have a phone, you hold it,
Yeah.
and you talk to it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So you post, and then you post stories.
Then you post stories. Yeah.
What are you posting on your stories?
Yeah, posting kind of just your day-to-day routine, right? So like when you're working out, what your meals look like,
Okay.
client results, those are important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got
pretty
you.
much it. And then some, you know, like you talk to the camera and like kind of explain certain things that are on your mind, and that could maybe be on other people's minds as well.
But then how? Okay, so and then I noticed too, like, and then again I'm playing kind of like dumb here, but because if people look at, and we'll tag your Instagram at the end, we'll plug all that. But if they go and look at your Instagram, they'll see like there's no like website. It's just like your Instagram and then your content. So like, how do you actually sign clients up?
How do I sign them up?
Yeah, like how does the money
Yeah.
go into your bank account?
Stripe, through a text message, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you send them a link with the price. They click on the link, and then they'll input their credit card information or debit card information, and then you'll get the money, and they'll get the service. It's crazy.
He's like their money goes into my bank
Yeah.
account.
So I'm curious, right? So you didn't know how to make money in this business before. So what was the moment where it kind of clicked for you, where you're like, oh, this is actually how you sign clients with this business and how you actually make money? Like, when was the moment like that? What were the moments that clicked for you, and the things that you were doing where you're like, oh, like this is like a repeatable process, like doing these things?
Well, I just think before I didn't have the blueprint that you provided, right?
Yeah.
The blueprint that you provide just details exactly what you're supposed to do. Like, all you need to do is execute. It doesn't get much easier than that. It's kind of like when you give a client a program, you tell them exactly what they need to eat, exactly what workouts they need to do,
Got you.
and then they do them.
Got
It's
you.
the same thing between you and I. You tell me what stories, type of stories I got to post,
Yeah.
type of reels I got to post.
Yeah.
You tell me how to reach out to people,
Yeah.
how to communicate with people properly and efficiently, and how to like hop on calls and figure out a strategic way of solving whatever their problem is, which
Yeah.
could be, a lot of people that I work with are just out of shape, and they're, mentally not in a good spot. Like, they're just not happy with how their life is going. And I mean, I feel like the physique is really a representation of that.
100%.
Yeah. So
100%.
yeah, I agree. And so, like, hop on that call, let them know how your service can be of use,
Yeah.
and how it can improve their life and get them out of that situation. And then if they're about it, if they see that there is value in this and they have enough faith in you to be able to, do your part, then they'll pay for it.
So I love that. So the last time we checked, you had like an 86% close rate. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, 10K a month, 86% close rate. That's pretty good. For those of you that are in sales, you'll know that that's a really good close rate. What would you say is like the number one attributor to your success?
I think it's just authenticity, right? Like, when I hop on a call, I'm really trying to get to know who you are.
Yeah.
I want to know who you are. I want to know your story. I want to know what you're struggling with. And I want to know how I can insert myself into your story in order to make it better. Because your story is going in one direction right now, and we need it to go a different direction. So what I do is I insert myself to help you start going the other direction. So I figure out how I can solve your problem.
Interesting.
That's essentially what I do.
Love
and if it works out, right, if I am the solution, which I am 86% of the time.
That's what's up.
I was 100% of the
That's
time,
what's
really,
up.
but like,
You're
some
still
people,
the solution for those people too.
Yeah, I am the solution for those people too.
Those
They just
fuckers.
weren't ready. They weren't ready yet. Yeah.
So I'm curious here because you sound like you seem very well put together. You speak well. You seem pretty intelligent, and you make 10 racks a month. So, in your opinion, why would you say? And I asked another client that he was on the podcast last week. Why are most bodybuilders broke?
Such a good question.
Such a great question, right? I think most bodybuilders are broke because they don't understand that what they have, like the physique, the ability to get in shape, that discipline, they don't understand how valuable that really is and how rare it really is, right? So because of that, like you're like, not to say like they're special, like, but like they are in a way, right? A bodybuilder has more discipline than the average person. They have a better understanding of work ethic, consistency, showing up even when you don't want to, making the meals even when you don't want to, right? Again, your physique is a manifestation of your habits. If you have shitty habits, they will show in your physique. But all bodybuilders, they have good physiques, right? Because they've mastered this side of the house, but they don't realize how valuable that really is. And that's the problem. They also just don't know how to like communicate and offer to people. Like, hey, and it sounds simple, right? Like, hey, I can help you. I can help you become better. They just don't know how to properly and effectively say that to somebody.
Would you say that that's because there's a negative connotation around sales?
I think so. I think, yeah, part of it. When
Because at the end of the day, it is sales, right?
It's sales, and like everybody's like, oh, like he's like salesy, he's just trying to take my money, you know what I mean? But that's never what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is we're trying to provide value for the individual, right? Like, I can help you. Do you want my help? That's essentially what we're trying to do. And if you do want my help, well, I charge a price because I provide a service.
Yeah.
But you're never chasing the money first.
Yeah.
The money comes when you provide value first. And that's kind of how you coach us. And that's what I apply in my business. That's what I apply in my sales calls. And I've gotten the result that I've gotten using that guidance. So.
Yeah. Cool. Love it, man. So with that being said, John, $10K a month, you gotta turn it on, because as a bodybuilder, you can't a lot of bodybuilders can't conceptualize the parallels between what they've learned, the principles in bodybuilding, and how it is the same in business. And for those of you that want to scale your coaching businesses, you can DM me Elite Podcast, so I'll know that you came from this podcast. And the reason that I have, transparently, guys, the reason that I have guys like John and Zach and, next week Zane and my clients on this podcast is simply because, like, I want to work with individuals that are like these guys. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I bring them on the podcast, the people that resonate with these people, they're naturally going to be more drawn to me, and they're going to want to work. They're going to want to work with me, and I'm going to be able to more easily find those people. But kind of going back to what John was saying, like, there has to be a conversation that you have to have with yourself, whether you're at your 9 to 5 or whatever situation that you're in. And there's even guys that like already make 6 figures in another business, and they're like, oh, I want to come over to online coaching because, like, I've been a bodybuilder for fucking 10, 15 years. And, like, I've seen what you've done. I've seen what, John's done. Evan, for example, doing 30K last month. And I think it's just so massive that, because it's too easy, especially as you get older, because you're 25, I'm 29. Especially as you get older, like in your 30s, it's really easy to, like, be stuck in your ways and justify, like, the fact that it is kind of like, it's like, oh, you're gonna go on Instagram and you're gonna make a bunch of Instagram stories and reels. It's like embarrassing. It is. It's like, because especially if you don't know what you're doing, right. But detaching yourself from the, okay, I'm not doing this as like I'm just fucking around. Like, I'm turning this into a business. And, like, when I say embarrassing, I mean, like, you can tell the people that are doing it and they're, like, not all the way in. It's worse to be half in than it is to be all the way in, because if you're all the way in, at least you're getting fucking paid for it, right? Because if you're all the way in this business and in the content game, people are going to know you're authentic, and your expression is going to be real. Like, you're going to be able to do this consistently on a real level. And I think that a lot of people don't do that. Like, they just, if you were to open my Instagram stories right now, and even, in this conversation and outside of this, it's like, I'm the same person through and through. And I think, like, the more that you can, like, harness that, the more authentic your brand is going to be. But also, like, the better clients you're going to be able to work with. And that's another thing too, is like, like John's coaching program, I know, because I tell him what to charge. He's not cheap. My coaching program, not cheap. Pablo, not cheap, right? And I think that this is really important, because this insinuates that we all know our worth. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, to the hour. And this isn't like a shallow metric at all. It's more so being able to say, hey, like, this is what my time is worth right now at this point in my life and this point in my career. And I just think it goes a long way, because it has a lot to do with knowing yourself and being aware of your own gifts, talents, and abilities.
I will say, though, real fast, it took me, like, years. Maybe it's my own journey, I'm not sure. But, like, to figure out kind of what I'm worth and fully understand that, And I think, like, because I remember, just speaking from experience, I watched Gabe for years, bodybuilding. I mean, this dude looked like an action figure.
Still does.
He still does. But more so back then, even, like, he was just, like, such a gym guy, doing his thing. Made no money. For years, no money. He looked good.
And it was like,
but didn't have money.
To the point where it was like, I'd started working out when I was 14.
Right.
And then it's like, I'm 20 and it's like, I'm still broke. It's like, I'm 22, I'm still broke. 25, I'm still broke.
But it's like,
it was cute at first,
Yeah.
Then it's like, yo, get your fucking shit together,
It's like,
dude.
come on,
You're a
man.
grown ass man.
But it's interesting because like he always with zero money. I'm talking like literally like people sometimes are like when I tell the story they're like, oh, he was like kind of hard on his luck. I'm like, no. You don't understand. Like zero, no money, very little money, and so like, but he inspired me through it. Even though I had my business and I was making money, not like insane, but I was doing fine, and like pretty good for my age or whatever. And like he inspired me because of the discipline. And so what I find interesting about bodybuilders specifically is you have that discipline within you to make yourself, you can't just look like this by chance, but like imagine if that was applied in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. And that's like
insane.
The thing, because bodybuilders, like we were talking about, like they've already have a very high skill set, right? Discipline, consistency, work ethic, and they don't realize that like, you can apply it to literally anything you want, like anything you want, and especially in business, right? And that's why when you gave me the framework, right, I just applied it and I got the result because I already had all those character traits. Now all I was missing was the roadmap.
Yeah.
And that's what you provided. You told me how to get there when I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think another thing too, like, and this is kind of going off topic somewhat, but not so much because like, and a lot of personal trainers may not know this, or bodybuilders or people that are like hopeful and think like, oh, like how can one dude with a microphone on a podcast that built like his online coaching business say like that it's a better scenario than something that's been around for so long. Personal training is tried and true. You can look it up right now, guys. LA Fitness, 24-hour fitness, these giant box gyms, they're going fucking bankrupt. I don't know if you can look at them right now. By the way, if you understand the way that the model of a commercial gym and how they make money, they don't make money off memberships. They lose money off memberships. They make money off of personal training.
Yeah.
They make money off of the group sessions. Okay? So if they're not driving sales, this is why when you go into any commercial gym, you see like desks set up and tables set up. This is because these are reserved for sales meetings so that these sales reps can sell personal training packages. This is where they make most of their money. And these businesses are filing for bankruptcy simply because a lot of these methods of helping people get in shape are they're out of date. And online coaching is 100% the way to go. It's like I've seen some of the results that my coaches are able to get for their fitness clients are like fucking insane, dude. Insane. And one thing that I think is super valuable with or not even on that side of things, right? And I think that people, this is not to scare anyone but like people have, bodybuilders especially, you guys have to start looking at the hard facts, right? Like if you're not like a John, if you're not like an Evan, if you're not like an individual who's going to take matters into their own hands, stop relying on these traditional fucking methods. Like guys, I don't know a single motherfucker with their exercise, their physiology, anatomy, exercise science degree that has a fucking dollar to their name, like respectfully, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because like NASM certification, anything, right? The reason I'm saying this is not because it's bad to be educated. It's good to be educated. It's bad to have the education and not be able to monetize the skill set, right? And I think that too many people are relying on traditional education. Too many people are relying on college, and not enough people are tuning in to conversations like this, and they won't because they won't. And I think it'll be to the point where it's too late, and most people will miss out on this massive fucking opportunity. Like, it's really like, it's cool to sit here and say like, build your brand and like, you could do it, man, and like, Gary V, you got time and all this shit. And it's like, with the way things are going, dude, if you're not like posting content every day, if you're not locked in on your personal brand, don't fucking expect out of nowhere to just start fucking building a brand and pass other people up when you haven't been doing it in the first place. So the reason I'm saying this is because the opportunity's here and then it's going to be gone. Especially with AI, like I always think about this, right? I'm just barely starting to use AI in my business. And I'm like, damn, like there's businesses that aren't even using AI. I'm like, there's no way they're going to compete against me. And then I think about this. there's fucking people that don't even have businesses that aren't even using AI. And I hate to say it, but the bottom is going to be replaced first before the personal brands. So anyway, the reason I'm saying this is not, and I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything. I'm more so saying, like, dude, how the fuck can you not see that there's opportunities like this that come and go year after year, decade after decade, and once they're here, they come and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Right? And people that are smart harness them and they build massive empires out of it, and the people that aren't don't.
Sure.
You know, there's a essence of opportunity and also being prepared for the opportunity. Right? So anyway.
With that said, genuinely curious, never even asked you this yet. Where are you headed? Like, we talked about the past, where you're at currently. It's all super exciting.
Yeah.
But, dude, 25.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I've got...
Where are you going? What do you... Dreams, excited? Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you thinking?
Fucking baby.
Yeah, I mean, I just really started this, like, in January. Or
Crazy.
it started doing well in January. I'd been doing it for a while. I just didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
But, you know, this is just the beginning. I like we were talking about earlier, like there's a lot of things that I want to do to my service to improve it and make it multifaceted, not just fitness, right? I want to give it a very large mindset component, just because without the mindset, like, fitness is so much harder. Like, if you're really just trying to white knuckle your way to a good physique and, you know, put yourself in a 1,500 calorie deficit for like 1 month to look good for just, you know, like a day or an event or an outing to the beach. What do you think happens when you start eating again like a normal person? Like, you just regain all that weight again, right? And like, so what people don't understand is, in order to be fit and stay fit forever for the rest of your life, you need to change your mindset. You need to change your habits, because if you don't do that, you're just going to end up where you started.
So, brother, please tell me, because if I'm just acting, I'm going to pretend like I'm on the other end. Like, you say change your mindset.
Sure.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. So
What does that mean, bro?
Good
Like, how do
question.
I do that?
yeah. So I think one of the big secret for me, this is what I learned.
He's excited for the answer like he didn't know the answer.
I learned that, you know, the
Get your
way
AI note takers on, boys and girls.
I learned that challenges and how you view challenges will directly affect how successful you are in anything you do, right? And there's like two ways that people view challenges. The first way, which is the more common way of viewing challenges, is people view challenges as like problems or obstacles. And when they view challenges through this negative lens, they're more likely to avoid the challenge altogether or be scared off or scared away from it, right? But the second way, and the more uncommon way to view a challenge, is as an opportunity, right? An opportunity to learn, to grow, and to just become a better version of yourself, right? And there's like this quote that I was thinking about I saw the other day, and the quote goes, what would it say? Quote said, if you ask God to become a marathon winner, He's not going to give you a medal. He's going to give you a pair of running shoes, right? Because as much as the universe wants to give you what you want, you must first become that version of yourself that is worthy to receive that medal.
Yeah.
Right? So He's going to give you the shoes so that you can go through the challenges. The challenges are the opportunities that you need. They're going to break you down, and they're going to build you up into the version of yourself that you need to be. And that's probably, for me, that's the big secret. Because before I understood this concept, I was viewing the world through a very negative lens. I viewed all the challenges in my life as problems or obstacles instead of what they really were. They were the opportunities, right? You know, fitness being hard, business being hard, all this struggle was actually just preparing me to be able to sit here with you and actually be somebody who was worthy of, you know, being entrusted with clients. Like, people come to me and I help them change their life. I didn't just like, that wasn't just given to me. I had to become a person worthy of receiving that first. Does that make sense?
100%. So the way that I'm understanding it is, this building this trait essentially is like a muscle. Like seeing fucked up things that happen to you, right, or whatever, reframing them as opportunities is like a muscle. So, and it's so funny that you say this because I just talked about this on my Instagram story today, where I believe that the superpower in successful individuals is the fact that they have an ability to reframe perspective at on an extreme level, where they can take like the most fucked up shit and reframe it to be a positive. Now, this is kind of a phenomena like here, right? Because this is what I've realized is most people that you see that are successful, the number one difference between you and them is the fact that is not that their life is different. Maybe it may be different now because they make more money, but it's not that their circumstances were necessarily like worse or better, right? Because we could compare anyone's life and find things that are worse or better in everyone's fucking story, right? It's that when those things happened to them, they reframed what had happened to them, and then they used it for good. Like they actually learned from it. Now, this is kind of the reason I say this is a phenomena is because I think that like, and it's like you ask anyone, right? And this is not the mind frame that they will have. Like, you know, like our parents kind of didn't really fucking help us out with this. Like no one really helped us out with this and told us this, because what this insinuates is like, if I'm someone that is, you know, successful or not successful, excuse me, and I believe that success is something that you're born with, not something that is built and not something that is developed, then think about where that's going to put me as like a young person. And that's essentially like the fucking rhetoric that's being told to younger kids, and was told to me, was like, it just is the way it is, or like I'm this way, or like your parents will label you as this or will label you as that. And it's like I started to realize, I was like, dude, nobody fucking knows me better than myself, like point blank period. Like, and it, like I learned that shit when I was 17.
Sure.
No, it's crazy to even say that. And like, yeah, every 19-year-old kid, we make jokes about it, they think they fucking know everything. I did too when I was 19. But I will say though, you don't have to be a grown-ass adult to be able to know yourself on a fundamental level. You may not be the smartest person in the world and know everything about the world, but I think it's very, very underrated to trust your own intuition. It's underrated to like have that ability to stay solid in your own word and your own beliefs. You get what I'm saying? I've said this. Let me pick my nose for 2 seconds. I've said that one of the hardest things that a man can do is stand alone in his beliefs when everyone tells him that he's wrong, even though he believes in his heart that he's right, you know? And the reason that this is hard is because the result is always a lagging indicator of, oh, well, that was the right thing to do, because you don't know if it is. Like, that's the hardest thing about being a man.
Yeah.
It's like you're like in the water and you're like, you don't know if you're going to even survive. But then it's like only in the end, right? It's a lagging indicator of like, oh, well, that was effective. Like, that worked. You know what I mean? You have to trust yourself. What do you guys think about that?
There's no proof yet, you know?
Scary, no?
But back to his original point of like he cared what people thought. I think we all at one point did too. And then you make decisions based off that, right?
Yeah. And what I think from what Gabe just said as well is that, you know, when you are in the water and you're like drowning, you're forced to adapt. You have to. Yeah. If you don't, you're either going to stay in the water until someone comes and saves you, or you're just going to drown. Yeah. Right. So you are forced to adapt in that moment. Yeah. That's a challenge, right? And that's the opportunity that you need to be able to grow into the person who like saves themselves.
You said something about that the other day about, I heard you say this to Brett. It was like you jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, my mentor years ago, gosh, told me, one of my mentors, had several over the years, and one of my first ones, kind of helped me realize that like no one's really coming to save me, you know, and that as a man, that's like a hard thing to kind of realize, like when you kind of go from, so to speak, boy to man, like you kind of realize like it's your responsibility. You have to figure it out to some way, somehow, even when it feels like there's no possible way. You have to. And he kind of taught me because I've always struggled with that myself, where I feel like I have to kind of have it figured out before I take a step, because I don't want to take the wrong step. What happens if I a bomb goes off? I stand on a landmine, my whole life, you get nervous. And so he taught me, to your point, or to what you're asking me about. He said, Paulo, successful people have an incredible ability to jump and build a plane on the way down before they hit the ground. Jump and the net will appear. And
Commit first, figure the rest out later.
Yeah, but it's in reality, it's scary, especially depending on some guys out there have families and kids and things that they responsibilities and stuff. But if you don't jump, you'll never know what could be, right? Like
Exactly.
You never know. You're keeping yourself away from what could be anyway. So it's like, and people are always like, I always find this to be funny. A lot of people are like, oh, business ownership is risky. And I'm like, well, so is a job that you can get fired from.
Right. Spending your life doing things you don't want to.
Bro, life is risky, right? To some degree, right? So it's like, why not just risk it for you and everyone around you, right? Like, it's like kind of one of the, I'm not saying this, what I'm saying is easy, but this is what I've noticed about, I work with business owners pretty much exclusively for my business specifically, and they're all the same.
Yeah. And I think, Gabe, you've touched on this before in the past, but
sure.
Gabe says that in instances like this is when you have to operate from a place of faith. You've said that. And, when I think about this whole thing, I really think about my younger self, the dude who started this thing, because he's the real MVP, because that dude was so delusional. He was he had no idea what he was doing.
Beast, I always think about that.
Yeah, dude. It's nuts, because if it wasn't for him operating from a place of faith for long enough to realize this,
wow,
where would I be?
The margin for success is literally so small. It's so small, because it's like, you're exactly right. I always think about that. It's like, damn, kid's badass.
Yeah,
because it's like, it's essentially what that was a man or boy becoming a man, talking himself into becoming a man.
I another to that point. I had a mentor of mine tell me this story where he was like, Pablo, he's like, you ever heard like the story about the Mayan Indians who they would have a rain dance so that when it would rain, and I guess they were they always said that our rain dance is 100% effective, and they were like, how's that even possible? How do you know 100% that it's gonna rain if you dance? And they're like, well, we just dance until it rains.
There you go.
The kid that never gave up.
Yep.
You just keep going until it works, right? But that's like it's you're crazy until then, right?
Yep.
Because you're all alone. It is true. Like when everyone else around you is saying a lot of other things, it's really hard.
Yeah, super.
Yeah, and to not admit that is like,
yeah,
of course it's hard.
Yeah, but figuring it out is part of the process.
Of course.
I know that there is a version of me right in the future who is making like 30, 40, 50,000 a month, and he's driving his dream car, and he's helping people left and right, and all his clients are extremely successful. Am I that person yet? No, I'm this version of myself, but I need to start aligning my behavior with the behaviors of that person so that I can go and meet him.
100%.
Right, and that's what my old version did, and that's why I'm here. But now I look to the future,
and it's so much more, or should I say, doing, because it's so crazy, man. I 100% agree with that, because I am living proof. Like, down to every single tattoo that I have, the watch, the fucking outfit, the car, everything. I've imagined it before. I used to imagine myself with slick back hair and sunglasses on in a nice car. I didn't know what it would be, but I would always imagine myself like getting out of the car, and then other people being like, yo, what the fuck does he do? I used to imagine that when I was 19, because I worked at a gas station, and something that I always picked up on at jobs was like I was learning. I learned to other people, and I would see how different cars represented different people. They had different behaviors. They would come in at different times. They would get different amounts of gas. They would get different things from inside the convenience store. Some were in a rush. Some weren't. Some that were successful were in a rush. Some that were successful weren't in a rush. Sometimes some that were poor were in a rush. Sometimes that, you know what I'm saying, vice versa. Mm-hmm. I saw it all, right? And I think what the thing about that is like imagining yourself who you want to be is like it happens so much more in like a subtle way where it's like more of a feeling. You get what I'm saying? Where it actually does sometimes feel like, oh, like happened overnight. Because you don't like chase a vision. You like escape the current like reality almost, and you like become like the highest version of yourself. What I mean is like I go, okay, I'm driving a Toyota. I go, well, I'm a Lamborghini guy. Like Lamborghini represents me way more than this car. Even when I first got the Mercedes, I was like, okay, like I love this car, but like I'm definitely gonna have like a Lamborghini, like, or a Ferrari or something one day, right? One of my dream cars was an Audi R8 for a long time, and I always just think that like I joke about it because this is the only way I can explain it, is that my brain didn't compute my reality. So like when people would be like, yo, that's so sick that I'm like, oh, I didn't do anything yet. Cause like I didn't think it was, I'm like, oh, this is like this is why I could, and this allowed me to do what? I never had to have my best physique to post pictures. I never had to know everything because I was like, oh, I'm going to get better. Like, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to drive a Lamborghini one day and I'm going to be covered in tattoos and I'm going to be rich. So it's not even going to matter. Literally. Yeah. Like, that's how I would act. Like, fucking delusional as fuck. Just, like, no good reason to think it. Like, and I just love saying that, too, because it's like, no good reason. Like, zero good reason. Yes. Like, textbook, you're kind of a loser. And, like, you're going to just start a business from your phone? Okay, whatever, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, like, that's where the greatest things happen. You know, it's the underdogs. You know, it's and this is why I like resonating with people that work jobs that, especially men, that bodybuilders that work emasculating jobs. Because you need to feel that shit, bro. And for some fucking reason, I needed to work like 50 of them and have a manager that was like 120 pounds lighter than me, telling me what to do and being a bossy ass bitch, you know, telling me boss ass bitch. Being a bossy.
We're having too much fun right now. We're having way too much fun.
Being a bossy ass bitch.
He's like, you're getting way too into it.
I'm a boss. Anyway, dude, I'm off this shit. Pablo, take it away.
Yeah. No,
Close us out. Where are we at with time?
We're at an hour, so we're good. Before closing out, first of all, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the
Appreciate
time. It means the world. We don't take it lightly. We appreciate it. And I genuinely, just for people, like, this is all you. I'd love to hear the plug. Like, where can people find you? What are you looking to do? Help them obviously do. Obviously, I think most people would kind of have an idea, but just generally, like, where can people find you? What are you offering them? Yeah, all the things.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at john.heinsohn. If you're looking to lose weight, build muscle, and change your mindset, then I'm your guy. Okay, I want it as bad as you. I want to help you out, and I want to help you realize your potential. So send me a DM with the word forge, and we'll talk, man.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
FORGE if you want to get in contact with John about fitness coaching. Love it.
Episode 20. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Awesome,
that.
man.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Episode 20. Right?
I think so.
Episode
Yeah, I think
20.
it's episode 20.
Episode 20. Signing out. See you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.
That was solid.
That was really
You liked
sick.
it?